Hip hip hooray, Vietnam Steve is on his way.
Xin chào everybody. Welcome back. You're watching Vietnam Steve, and I've got a good one for you today. Just down at the local coffee shop, getting my dose of caffeine, and thought I'd talk to you today about simple living and what moving to Vietnam has taught me about simple living. So, of course, when you come from the all-encompassing West that has everything and desires everything and chases everything, all of a sudden it gets a bit different when you're in a foreign locale. So it's been interesting for me, the journey that I've been on, and I think it's going to be a good story to tell you. So, back in pre-COVID times, I came to Vietnam to actually for a company I was working for, and I was delivering a training course. And long story short, coming out of that adventure to Vietnam, I met a young lady, which of course piqued my interest, and so I came back to Vietnam again and again and again. I guess moving here for simplicity wasn't the goal, it just happened. And I did arrive here with less than ever before, simply because I was in a hurry to chase this young lady. But, it's amazing how quickly normal resets to a different normal very quickly when you're in a foreign locale. So let's backtrack a little bit and talk about my move to a different location and how that enabled me to have less stuff and more life. It's quite noisy down here, so I might just check on the sound situation, because although I've got the mic on with the furry end, it does seem to pick up a lot of the kids carrying on. So let's just have a check of that, and I'll be right back. To be going well. I moved the old microphone over here because it was pointing towards the road before and just picking up everybody that came by. So we will get a few interruptions down here. We'll get people wanting to clean my shoes. We want people that want to put a protector screen on my phone, and so we'll have to deal with them as we go. Anyway, as I said, I didn't move here for simplicity. It just happened once I got here. When I came with a suitcase and an open heart, and normal reset very, very quickly. So one thing that I became very, very comfortable with was having less, and we moved into a very small space. It wasn't actually a small space, even though your Vietnamese houses are the long, narrow type houses. This was a 4-story house, but they have a lot of stuff. So when you don't have much, you tend to keep on a lot of stuff. And so the smaller space didn't really affect me. It just made me make some honest choices on big truck going straight through the intersection here. It just made me make some honest choices on what it is that I want to keep and I want to do. We don't have any garages, we don't have any sheds, we don't have any spare rooms. Everything's just stored in the house. It is interesting because the wardrobe space would be 5 times what I had in the West. And when you think about that, basically 2 metres long is all the clothes that you've accumulated in your whole life stored in 2 metres. So no wonder they have 8 to 10 metres here. Just had a couple of noisy people turn up next to me. But I guess one of the benefits of being here and having that smaller space is that you can see everything that you own. So you're never actually wondering where something is. You can see everything that you own. So I guess I wonder for yourselves how you're going on living more simply, reducing some of the stuff in your life, and just seeking out a simpler existence. I know the people that have sort of stuck with the channel here are generally of that mindset, and thank you for that. And I know that some of you are wanting to get more information, and I'm going to be having a mailing list down the track. But let me know in the comments what you've done to simplify your life. Has it been to get rid of some hangers on in your life? Get rid of some clothes on hangers in your life? What have you actually done? So, lady selling balloons on a crosswalk. That sounds like something I'd like to do. What an easy job. I mean, one of the stories that is really useful to talk about is, 2 doors down from where we live is a family, and they sell soup. The daughter's there with the mother selling soup, but before that it was the grandmother and the current mother. So, it's gone through a number of generations. They've been there for 3 decades. But what they decided to do was they would put on a pot of soup and essentially sell that soup for the next 3 decades and fund their whole life. So they funded 3 generations simply from cooking soup and selling soup. Sounds like a lot simpler life than what we've been conditioned to in the West. And I sort of use that analogy to think about, well, in my own life, what is it that I need to simplify so that there's less going on in my brain, I suppose. So I thought I'd miss some clothes. You might notice I've got the woolly jacket on today. This is a shirt that's really, really heavy because it's quite cold here today. So I thought I'd miss some clothes options. I don't. I've probably got 5 shirts, 2 pairs of jeans and 5 pairs of shorts. That's me. 20 sets of clothes. So I don't miss the clothes options. I rotate them around. Probably not enough, some people think, but that's how it is. I thought I'd miss some of the gadgets in the West, but what I found is that we have, if not more gadgets here in the East. And I've just put the Osmo Pocket 3 onto another tripod that I bought for 1/5 of the price it would cost me in the West, from a gadget shop here. I'm in a lucky position. I'm 100 miles from China, and there's a lot of Chinese products here. So I thought I'd miss gadgets, but I don't really miss gadgets. I've probably got more gadgets. In fact, I've seen things that I'd never seen before. I've seen battery hand warmers. You put them in your hand, they've got a battery, they warm your hand, you put it in your pocket. I know you've probably all seen those, but that's a new thing to me. I've seen very, very modern equipment for the houses. My brother-in-law's house has an elevator in it, and that's not unusual to have an elevator in your house. The lights can be set onto moods. It's not unusual. It is available in the West, but it's not as common as I see it here. What else did I think I'd miss? Thought I'd miss just in case stuff. Like, I carry a lot of stuff around just in case. Even today, I'm out with the Vart bag, and there's a lot of stuff in there just in case. I've got another battery in there just in case I run out of battery. I've never run out of battery in my life, but just in case. So I thought I'd miss a lot of just in case stuff, and that hasn't been the case either. In fact, coming out today, I was talking with my wife, and we're going to give one of my MagSafe chargers to the sister-in-law, and she's reluctant to give it away because we might need it, And I said, well, I've never used it, and everywhere I sleep has power. I never sleep in a tent with no power, so as long as my gadgets last a day, I can charge them up every day. So, we keep a lot of just-in-case stuff. But missing all those things fades a lot faster than expected. So I don't think you'd miss as much as you think you will miss. Let me know in the comments what's near and dear to your heart, and what you might miss if you move to a lesser lifestyle, something that's a little bit more minimalist. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the mental quiet, but it's not a quiet in an audio sense. It's very, very noisy here. I'm sitting at an intersection with traffic, but the mental quiet about having less stuff and fewer decisions. I'm away a lot, and when I go away, I put an out of office on my email, and I'll let you sign up for the mailing list soon, so stick with the channel. But I put an out of office on my mailing, on my email that basically says, I'll log in every second weekday to deal with things that require a decision, but most things don't require a decision, so it's very, very easy. Less stuff equals less decisions. I really like the mental quiet of that. Less organising, less cleaning, less managing. It's just less. I'm here having a coffee, doing less. And for those of you that have been with me for some time, you'll know that's my New Year resolution. People, what's your New Year resolution, Vietnam Steve? Do less. Have a natural propensity to do more, so doing less is my resolution every year. I'd be pretty keen to understand if you've got any resolutions that you make, whether they're at the New Year or at your birthday or whatever. I've got a new one that I'm focusing on, which is to do less procrastinating. I tend to leave things to the last minute, and then I generate stress for myself to get things done. This year, that's not going to be the case. I'm going to get things done in a timely manner, less procrastination, and have a lot less stress in my life as I go forward. I think calm for me comes from removing stuff, not adding stuff. So that mental quiet just brings the calm. And I noticed that, moving to Vietnam from the West, that calm that is just here, even though we're in a frenetic, hectic place, it is quite calm. All right, better wrap this one up pretty soon. One bag thinking. So if you've only got limited space or limited storage, it's really a case of, do I need this? And most things I don't need. I can travel with a passport and a wallet, really. Everything else is superfluous because wherever I go, there's shops. So that's always the case. I'd challenge you. Some of the things that you've held on to, do you really need it? I am definitely an intentional buyer, so I do not buy anything. I'm a procrastinator. I'm an intentional buying. If I buy something, it's because it's really, really needed. I bought this cheap tripod that you're sitting on here, but I really needed it. So let's see if I can get the face tracking working back here. It seems to have not wanted to work, so we'll see how it goes. I repair, I reuse, and I have a good enough mindset. So I'm really focused the last few years actually on just repairing stuff that breaks. If it can be repaired, I repair it. I don't need to buy new stuff. I love the old stuff. So I've got that one bag thinking. All right. Finally, I guess my identity is not wrapped up in my stuff. I don't have to think, who am I without possessions? I know who I am. It's not the possessions that I have. Letting go. That's probably a theme, letting go of stuff. Value comes from what's in the heart, and I've learnt that from living in Vietnam and talking to people that come from a different culture with a different mindset. You know, they have, in fact I was talking about this today, they seem to have much more modern vehicles here than they do in my hometown. My wife raised that. She said, I noticed the cars here are much more upmarket than in Australia. Now, I don't know why that is. Maybe there's large taxes in Australia. She said it's because people here view their car as a status symbol, whereas in the West we tend to think of our vehicle as an A to B piece of equipment. So they like to have a nice car here to show their status. I really think it's in the West that people can't afford those nice cars. So, you know, it's not uncommon to walk down the street and see Lexus, Land Cruiser, one of those fancy Mercedes, not the AMG, the Maybach ones. I mean, I'm looking out the front here and I'm looking at, well, nothing too fancy. There is a Mercedes, there is a Land Cruiser. They have a Vietnam manufactured car, which is a lot of those around here because they're taxis. I see a lot of Hondas, but they're all newer. So I've learnt to, my value doesn't come from my belongings. So I guess to wrap this one up, the freedom trade-off. For me, it was easier to move, so I've learnt living in Southeast Asia, living in Vietnam, it's easier to move with less stuff. It's easier to move with fewer commitments. I've got a mental lightness. I feel like there's physical freedom here. I'm in a communist country. I feel more free. Go figure on that one. But you know, we all have weight that holds us down. So I guess I challenge you to think of one thing that adds weight, not value, to your life, and then I don't want you to purge that. Just notice what it is. What's adding weight to your life rather than value? Just turn you around in case we see a smash out there. So closing today, thanks for sticking with me. I hope I've triggered some thoughts about simple living, having less stuff and more life, and given you the ideas that you might need about simplicity not equaling deprivation, and it's about having enough. I guess Vietnam didn't teach me to own less, it taught me to need less. Thanks for watching. I've enjoyed the time with you today. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Stay frosty and take care.